Well, the small, salty little town of Caernarfon is famous for its striking castle, a place where the Prince of Wales is invested or given his title. Now, like our home base Conwy, it has an Edwardian first garrison town marching out from the castle. It still follows the original medieval grid plan laid within its well-preserved ramparts. We're outside the walls now, and you can see the walls there. So Caernarfon is mostly a 19th century town. And in those days, the most important thing in town wasn't the castle or the adjacent walled town, but the seafront that sprawled below the castle. Now that is now a parking lot. So this was a booming slate port, just like Conwy, shipping tidy bundles of the little rocks from North Wales mining to roofs all over Europe. Now this big bad boy right here, this statue, is of local boy David Lloyd George. David Lloyd George was a member of Parliament. There he is. From 1890 to 1945. And he was the most important politician Wales ever sent to London. And ultimately, he became Britain's prime minister during the last years of World War I. Young Lloyd George began his career as a noisy, nonconformist liberal, advocating Welsh rights. He ended up as an eloquent spokesperson for the nation of Great Britain, convincing his slate mining constituents that only as part of the Union would their industry boom. So now the city bustles with shops and cafes and people. It's fun to explore, but compared to Conwy, it's noticeably scruffier. It experienced, I guess, according to Rick Steves, it experienced a pretty significant downturn in its economy of the mining industry. And according to Rick, some locals seem pretty self-conscious about their rival town of Conwy. They've said to Rick, we're the poor cousins of Conwy. But recent years have brought new initiatives and fresh investments to the town, such as the Welsh Highland Railway Station and the Gallery Creative Enterprises Center, which serves as a cultural hub for art exhibitions and movies and festivals. And the newest renovation project is Selechi, or Slatequay, a set of refurbished buildings on the harbor front that hosts a number of artists and workshops. Now, these may or may not be open. We'll go check them out a little bit later. Okay, we're inside the castle. Now, Edward I, he built this mighty castle about 700 years ago to establish English rule over North Wales. And rather than being purely defensive, it also had elements of a palace where Edward and his family could stay on his visits to Wales. Modeled after the striped angular walls of ancient Constantinople, the castle, though impressive, was never finished. It was never really used either. From the inner courtyard, you can see notched walls, ready for more walls, which were never built. The castle's fame derives from its physical grandeur and an association with the Prince of Wales. Edward got the angry Welsh to agree that if he presented them with a prince that was born in Wales, who spoke not a word of English, they would submit to the crown. Now, in the time, Edward had a son born in Wales, actually here in Caernarfon, who spoke not a word of English, Welsh, or any other language, because he was an infant. So in modern times, as another political maneuver, the Prince of Wales has been invested or given his title here. This tradition actually dates back only to the 20th century, and only 2 of the 21 princes of Wales, Prince Charles, the current, and King Edward VIII, have actually taken part. If you're wondering where Jackie is, she is right there. The first tower was enough for her. She didn't want to come up anymore. And she's waving. Hi, honey. All right, we're sitting inside waiting for a video to start, and Jackie climbed her first, well, you climbed 3/4 of your first castle turret, but she did not climb to the top. Right, Jack?
I got to the top of those stairs.
You didn't get to the top and look around? No. Why is that?
Because it was closed off.
No, I made it farther up than you did.
No.
Why not?
Because it's narrow, steep, and I don't want to fall.
Narrow, steep, and you don't want to fall. That's a perfectly good reason for us. But we're about ready to watch a little video here before we go back out to the Royal Museum. So, off to the video. It's fine.